Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. Don't build a gaming PC in September 2024 without watching this video. We have three amazing builds: an $850 PS5 Pro killer out there, a $1,200 1440p 240Hz gaming PC that's just oozing with value, and we've got an all-white 4K gaming PC for $1,800. We'll also include some amazing value gaming monitor deals right now for 1440p and 4K. Remember, if you get value out of this video, give it a like, as it makes a huge difference to the channel, and of course subscribe for more cool PC content. With that, let's jump into it. Let's jump into that $850 1440p powerhouse value PC. This thing has so much value to it. And yes, I know people are going to compare it to the PS5 Pro, so we're going to do the same thing at the end. I think this PC is going to come out pretty far ahead for not much more money. Now, I finished out at $850.42. I will say in this build, I've included some kind of nice to have in terms of aesthetics, like an upgraded cooler with RGB RAM, a nice PC case that looks amazing. If you just want to kind of go bare bones it, you could certainly cut the cost closer to like $799 on it. Let's start off where else? The GPU. I selected the RX 7700 XT because it's an insane value right now. $379. The Acer Nitro one back in stock. This is the lowest cost one. Now, I will note, if you're somebody who has an older Gen 3 PCIe system out there, I would not buy this one because it's only got half the connector on it that runs at PCIe Gen 4, and on your Gen 3 system, the bandwidth won't be enough for the GPU. However, our system's PCIe Gen 4, so we have nothing to worry about. And the good news is for $379, we get 2 free games with this. 2 free games. How many free games do you get with PS5 Pro? Oh, that's right, you get 0. Let's check those out. You get Unknown 9 Awakening, and you get the hotly anticipated Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 out there. Super great games. It says a $60 value. I actually kind of think it's a little bit more expensive than that, so great pickup. In terms of GPU performance for our RX 7700 XT, this is the TechSpot AMD Radeon RX 7600 XT review data, and so it's relatively recent. Look at that, the RX 7700 XT, 92 average FPS. It's got 12 gigs of VRAM. It's a phenomenal performer. Obviously, we were long supporting the RX 6800 as a top choice out there in terms of value. That's largely gone off the market, but the RX 7700 XT is still insane value out there. If you're wondering in terms of where the consoles are, the PS5 is roughly equivalent to the RTX 2070, all the way down there at the bottom. We're not really sure where the PS5 Pro is going to come in, as slightly more compute units than the RX 7700 XT GPU does. However, they're going to be clocked much lower because it's more like a laptop GPU, not a desktop GPU with a big honking cooler where you can really clock that thing up. So I would guesstimate that the RX 7700 XT GPU in our build is basically going to beat the PS5 Pro or roughly trade blows with it. For the rest of the build, of course, I went with a Ryzen 5 5600, far more powerful gaming CPU than you're going to get in the PS5 Pro likely as well. $111 is an insane value. And here's an area also, if you want to save some money, you could certainly go with the included Ray Stealth cooler. Perfectly adequate, even if you turn on Precision Boost Overdrive for this CPU. Super power efficient as well. Again, $112. Phenomenal gaming performance, and your future upgrade path, drop in a Ryzen 5700X 3D sometime in the future when you're ready to upgrade that GPU to something way more massive, and you're going to be good to go. For the cooler, I'm just dropping in an aftermarket cooler here because I want to bling up the build a little bit. It also does help the performance slightly, and of course it does help the thermals and the noise as well. I love the Thermalright Assassin X120 Refined SE ARGB. Thermalright has like 9 bazillion different versions of this. You're just looking for a 120mm fan slapped onto a budget tower air cooler with about 4 heat pipes on it. Any of those are fine. We've used a lot of them in the past. $18.90 is an insane value. For the motherboard, you can go a number of different ways. If you want a board with Wi-Fi, go ahead. I went with the ASRock B550M Pro 4 because it has upgraded ALC 1200 audio on it. It's got a nice looking audio section. It's got a rock solid VRM, so putting that 5700X3D CPU upgrade on here in the future, no problem whatsoever. It has really good rear panel USB connectivity to it, 6 high-speed USB ports, including a Type-C, and 2 Type-A. That's like your mouse, your keyboard out there. Overall, just really insane value. For the RAM here, I spent a little extra money. We did go 32 gigs of RAM. Now remember, the PS5 Pro, 16 gigs RAM. We're going to go with 32 gigs RAM. That's because in 2024, we have seen a handful of brand new AAA titles where you get some micro stuttering with only 16 gigs of RAM. So we're going to go 32, get rid of that. Also, if you want to do any kind of video editing, any kind of productivity work, this is also going to massively up your game. Again, something you can't do with the PS5 Pro. I'll stop bashing the PS5 Pro. I know it's a great console for those of you looking for consoles. And I know a lot of you, though, are looking to build an amazing gaming PC and wondering what the difference is. DDR4 3200 CL16, this is really all you need. I did fork over another $15 to get the RGB on it. Again, another area you can save a little bit of money if you don't want the RGB. I just think it looks amazing, especially when you see the PC case that we picked out next. For the drive, I went 1 terabyte here. You can always add additional drives in the future. $52 for the Clevcraft C710. It's on sale right now, but there's others like the Silicon Power A60 or the UD90 as well. All about like $52, about $57. And then I absolutely love this PC case. We use this PC case in a Ryzen 7600X build guide video. I loved building in this. This is a micro ATX case, so if you do want a full-size ATX, look to the Montech XR. We're gonna use that in an upcoming build, but this is great for any of those micro ATX builds. Super compact footprint on your desk. It's got a great negative pressure and really innovative system where basically these are all exhaust fans on the outside, and then it basically uses this grill down here to intercept all the dust. I really like it. If you decide you don't like that, you can always just flip the top 2 fans around and use them as intake instead. $59 with a 5% coupon right now at Amazon. Really insane value. For the power supply, we just need about 650 watts out there. The MSI Mag A650BN remains the best value C-tier rated PSU, basically the best budget PSU out there right now in that $650 power range. And right now it's up to $63. I'd like to see it get back towards like that $49, $50 where it usually is, but $63, it's just the best value. All told, for $850, you're getting an insanely powerful gaming PC that not only is it gonna really mop the floor right now with the PS5 Pro, but you can always upgrade this PC in the future, drop in a new GPU, drop in a 5700X 3D, keep going on your way. You've got 32 gigs of system RAM out there, super powerful GPU with 12 gigs of VRAM on it as well, and you're set up for now and the future. Let's jump into the best 1440p gaming monitors out there, the ASRock PG27QFT2A. I hate saying those names, too long. Call it something else. I don't know what to tell you. 27-inch, 180 hertz refresh rate. This has phenomenal motion handling on it. It's just an overall phenomenal gaming monitor for $185. Like, how do they do that? Now, I know it was a little cheaper when it first got introduced. They had like an extra $15 coupon on it. I would still buy it at $184. Well worth it. Incredible brightness to it, incredible contrast to it. Overall, just a phenomenal gaming monitor. However, I am aware that right now, at least, I can only find this at Newegg in the United States. So let me give you another option. And then the other option is the gaming monitor that I continue to recommend. Remember, 1440p gaming monitors, in terms of mid-range monitors, have crashed in price down to about the $200 price point. And the one that has led the way is the Acer Nitro XV271U. The XV272U got slightly brighter. I used to recommend it. However, it just seems to be completely sold out right now. At least I can't find it anywhere. But the XV271U, still phenomenal value out there. 180 hertz refresh rate to it. Really good motion handling on it as well. $199. I mean, how cheap do you need it to get? Let's jump into that $1,200 1440p 240 hertz insanity build. That's insane performance here for not a ton of money here. In fact, I finished out at $1,211.92. And I will say, if you want to do this build a little cheaper, you certainly can. I've kind of picked a lot of nice to haves in here. As we go through the build, I'll kind of give you some options if you want to cut some prices here and there. And of course, I'm going to give you some GPU options as well. I went with the ASRock Challenger OC RX 7900 GRE, 16 gigabyte GPU, insane value for $529. Now, they had been $519 last week, but the model that was $519 sold out. This is still a very, very good model. And of course, it comes with that 2-game bundle. We'll go over that in just a second. I think this is probably where I would end up. I do like the RX 7800 XT as well. Right now, $469. Also, the ASRock Challenger model. They look identical. I don't know if they use the same heatsink, but they do use the same design to them. $469 if you want to go with the 7800 XT, also with 16 gigs of VRAM, of course. I like the 7900 GRE just a little bit more because while you can add like an SSD for $60 in the future, you can't just dump $60 in your GPU and turn it into a 7900 GRE all of a sudden. So for me, I would prioritize my spending there. And of course, if you absolutely have to have NVIDIA, I'm not a big fan of the RTX 4070 Super, mostly because of the 12 gigabytes. It's perfectly a fast GPU. It's actually would be phenomenal if NVIDIA had just done what they should have done and given it 16 gigs of VRAM, or if they had to clamshell at 24, whatever it took basically to get more than 12 gigs of VRAM on this for almost $600. That being said, if you have to have NVIDIA, this is the one I would pick up. In terms of the free games, just to quickly go over it again, with the AMD Radeon GPUs, you're going to get Space Marine 2, that's Warhammer 40K, and Unknown 9 Awakening, two phenomenal games. Geez, it comes included with the GPU price. On the NVIDIA side, you're going to get Star Wars Outlaws. However, I don't know how much longer this is going to go through for. It's only, I believe, going to go through either September 15th or September 19th. So if you want this game, grab it right away. In terms of FPS performance, phenomenal performer. This is the Tech Power Up RX 7900 GRE review for the Sapphire model out there, and includes data for the RTX 4070 Super as well as the 7800 XT. You can see they're all relatively close in terms of performance, with both the 7900 GRE and the 4070 Super about 10% faster than the 7800 XT. Obviously, the 7800 XT significantly cheaper than all the rest of them. So if you want to go cheaper, that is the route that I would certainly go there. That being said, I want 16 gigs of VRAM on my GPU. That's why I like the 7900 GRE over the 4070 Super. I do think if you want ray tracing, consider the 4070 Ti Super, but you can see any of these GPUs is going to give you tons of frames at 1440p. For the rest of the build, we're going with the Ryzen 5 7600. You can also pick up the 7600X. It's $10 more. Doesn't really matter. These are super phenomenal value. Zen 5 came out, kind of fell flat on its face. Don't buy Zen 5, don't buy the 9600X. I think AMD is going to cut the prices on those, so they may become good value in the future, but right now the CPU that I would buy in the mid-range to maximize my GPU performance at this budget level is the Ryzen 5 7600 or 7600X. Just throw away the included stock cooler with the 7600. That's why I keep saying it doesn't matter what you get with 7600 or the 7600X. You're going to turn on Precision Boost Overdrive on either one of them to use that 105 watt TDP. For the cooler, obviously you need a cooler with the 7600X. Doesn't come with one. And with the 7600, we're going to toss the Ray Stealth cooler. Toss it in the recycle bin, please. We're going to go with the id Cooling SE214XE just to change things up here. Another phenomenal value. Any budget tower air cooler is perfectly fine for either one of either the 7600X or the 7600. $18. These look phenomenal, by the way, and they come in black or white. For the motherboard, we're just going to take advantage of a great deal right now over at Newegg. This is the MSI B650 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi. Now, I will say this board, because some of the other boards have kind of sandwiched down in terms of price, hadn't been that great, but right now they've been offering this $20 program. They say a limited offer. It's been there for a while. It's going for $149 right now. The other board I like here is the ASRock PG Lightning B650 for $150. Has about the same amount of good rear panel USB connectivity at that $150 price point. I do like this one a little bit better at $150. Obviously, the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is great. Even if you don't need the Wi-Fi, there's so many Bluetooth devices these days. It just helps to have it on the board. $149 is phenomenal. Of course, if you want to go cheaper here, you could go one of the Micro ATX B650s that we recommend in our Ryzen 7600X build guide. You can check that out. I'll leave it linked down in the video description. For the RAM, we're going to go with the Silicon Power DDR5 32GB kit. So it's 2 sticks. They're both 16 gigabytes, and this is DDR5 6000 CL30. Phenomenal kit, $95, has RGB on it, comes in black, comes in white. What else do you want? It's going to give you the maximum performance out of that 7600. Now, I decided to go 2 terabytes here. You certainly could just go 1 terabyte instead. Obviously, your motherboard's going to have plenty of slots on there in order to add an additional drive. But I figured let's just take advantage of the fact that 2 terabyte drives are better in terms of price to performance than 1 terabyte drives. And obviously, if you want to go 4 terabyte, those are actually the best in terms of price to performance right now. I just grabbed a budget drive, which is the Silicon Power A60, $98 right now. It's really all you need for gaming. For the case, we're going with the excellent Montech XR. It comes in black, comes in white. It looks phenomenal. We use this in our 9600X build guide, so you can check it out there if you want to see what it looks like. We top mounted a 360mm AIO, obviously more than overkill for a Ryzen 7600 to do that, but you certainly could, and there's certainly cheaper ones out there right now. And what I love about this is I love these 2 fans here on the side. They're reverse blade. They look like they're exhaust, but they're actually intake fans. So you don't have to look at the ugly back of the fans. Montech, great idea there. And this is super premium feel for just $64. For the power supply, I did go with the MSI Mag A750BN, and this is a great unit. It's PCIe Gen 5, it's ATX 3.0. It's a C-tier rated PSU on the PSU Cultist list. You're like, Jason, 750 watts. It seems a little high for this build. You're right. I could have probably gone with 650 watts on this build. However, the MSI Mag A650BN only comes with 1 EPS power connector for the top left-hand corner power connectors for our motherboard. This motherboard has 2 of them. You actually don't need to use 2, but I know that weirds some people out. So I figured let's just spend like $10 extra. That's why I came in a little over $1,200 on this. I just don't want to weird you all out. Just go ahead and plug both EPS power connectors and feel what's better. So there you go, $1,211.92. You're going to get a phenomenally performative gaming PC that's absolutely going to smoke every game right now at 1440p, and on those competitive shooters, you're gonna get 240 Hz 1440p very, very easily. You're gonna get 16 gigs of VRAM to future-proof yourself for the future. You've got a 2 terabyte SSD. It's gonna look amazing with all the cool RGB on it, and you're gonna get the 2 free games. Let's jump into some great value 1440p, 240 Hz gaming monitors. Right now, if you're on a budget, but you want 240 Hz 1440p, and you want to be actually good, so there are some cheaper garbage ones, but get this one. This is the AOC CQ27G3Z. Phenomenal performer, very similar in terms of performance to the Samsung Odyssey G7, the older 1440p curved VA panel, which had excellent contrast to it, excellent motion handling. This is just a great, great panel, and I love the price, $269 for it. If instead you're looking for flat IPS 240 Hz 1440p, then right now, as I said in my best 1440p gaming monitor video, there's like 5 or 6 different panels here with virtually identical performance. I said just get the cheapest one because it isn't really worth spending any additional money in order to get one over the other. So right now the cheapest one is the MSI G274QPX, and this is one's been out of stock for quite some time, just recently came back finally in stock. It's a great performer if you're looking for that flat IPS 240 Hz. And right now just $318. Let's jump into that $1,800 all white 4K gaming PC build, and it's gonna look amazing, it's gonna perform amazing, and you're gonna absolutely love it. And if you're not looking to build an all-white build, don't worry. All these parts come in black, and I'll even give you some options. In fact, some of them are a little bit cheaper if you get the black version instead. I finished out at $1,805.94, and you can either play this at 4K or just get insane frame rates at 1440p, 240 Hz, 360 Hz, whatever you want to play, especially in those competitive shooter titles like CS2. Let's start off where else, the GPU. Now, I was looking for an all-white GPU, so I went with the ASRock Phantom Gaming RX 7900 XT, 20 gigabyte GPU, 20 gigs of VRAM. That's insane. This thing looks really super stunning. It's got good RGB on it. Overall, it's a phenomenal value at $699. Now, there are some cheaper 7900 XTs out there, $10, $20 cheaper if you don't want all white. But this is one of the cheapest all white GPUs that's also an insane performer. If you're looking for an NVIDIA GPU, I'd go with the RTX 4070 Ti Super. Now, this is the MSI Gaming Ventus White OC one. It's actually a little bit more silver, I think, than white. However, I think it'll go really well in this build. It's a 2-fan model, $779 for this level of performance. Of course, again, if you're going to buy the NVIDIA GPU, I think through September 19th, you're going to get Star Wars Outlaws with it. And if you're going to buy the AMD GPU, you're going to get two games. You're going to get Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, highly anticipated, and Unknown 9 Awakening. In terms of FPS performance, we're looking at the RX 7900 GRE review data from Tech Power Up, and if you check out the RX 7900 XT, 20 gigabyte up there, look at that 139 average FPS across a wide suite. I think it's like 24 titles in total at 1440p ultra setting. So 2 thumbs up there. 4070 Ti Super, not that far behind, just kind of really just almost margin of error there at about 136 average FPS. Either one of these GPUs is a phenomenal performer. And scrolling down to the 4K results, you can see the 7900 XT kind of slightly outpacing the 4070 Ti Super, but not by very much. 81 average FPS for the 7900 XT and about 80 average FPS for the 4070 Ti Super. For the rest of the build, of course, we're going with the Ryzen 7 7800X3D. Now, if you want to go a little cheaper here, the Ryzen 7600 is also perfectly adequate. You're not going to get as much FPS out of these GPUs with it, but it is like half the price. Actually, it's less than half the price. And right now, what's going on with the 7800X3D is because Ryzen 9000 came out and it just kind of sucked in comparison to the 7800X3D. Let's just be honest about it. Now, I do expect AMD to start cutting prices eventually on the 9000 series to make them much better values out there. But right now, the 7800X3D remains the best gaming CPU on the planet. However, because that's the fact, a lot of people who are waiting for Ryzen 9000 to come out, now they're buying up the 7800X3D like crazy. In fact, right now, even at Newegg for $399, it's back ordered. You can pick it up at Best Buy right now. I'll leave multiple links down in the video description for like $420. If you want one of these CPUs, would I wait for it? No, I would not wait. Who knows how much stock they have? The demand seems pretty insane, especially with Intel basically being a non-entity right now, at least until we get Arrow Lake. I would pick up a 7800X3D if you want to build a gaming PC. For the motherboard, you have a lot of different options. I decided to go with an all-white PCB board. My top pick probably would have been the ASRock B650 Steel Legend Wi-Fi. However, I did buy one myself, but it has gone completely out of stock in the US. I can't find it anywhere, so I can't obviously recommend it. The Gigabyte B650 Aorus Elite AX Ice is another phenomenal one. It has basically a silver heatsink on a white PCB. It looks stunning. The only thing I'm not super enthralled about is it just has basic audio on it. I really wish they had put a higher level audio codec for $200, but it has an insane amount of rear panel USB connectivity. So if you have an external audio device that you're using instead, this is definitely a motherboard with tons of rear panel connectivity. For the RAM, I went with a kit I continue to recommend, which is the Team Group T-Force Delta 32 gigabyte kit. So it's 2 sticks, 16 gigabytes, DDR5 6000 CL30. And right now with the $5 promo code, it's basically $97. Actually, DDR5 6000 CL30 continues to float down in price. These kits have gotten like all the way up to 110, but they're now coming down, and that's great to see. For the drive, I decided to go with something with a DRAM cache. I like the Team Group T-Force G70 Pro Graphene. This is a new lineup by basically Team Group, kind of replacing some of their old, like the MP34 that I used to recommend. I like this one. It's a good performer. The price it was introduced at, I didn't like it. However, it's come down in price since. You can see 169 to 125. So 2 thumbs up there because it is super competitive if you want a kind of a higher performance drive with DRAM. And of course, we got 2 terabytes, which is plenty of space. For the cooler, we went with a Thermalright Aqua Elite 360 White V3. This is a phenomenal performer. We used this in our Ryzen 9600X build guide. Obviously, it was an overkill for the 9600X. It's kind of almost overkill for the 7800X3D as well. That being said, it looked phenomenal in our build, so I really want to grab this. You could also go with something like the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 360 millimeter cooler in white. I think it's $110 right now. Or you could go with any, pretty much almost any 240 millimeter AIO is absolutely fine. I just want to fill up the top slot across our case and make it look amazing. And this is a great performer. For the case, I went with the Lee & Landcool 216 in white. It also comes in black, also comes in a non-RGB version. The 2 fans in the front, 160 millimeter RGB. And we used this case in our recent 9950X build guide, and we used it previously in our 7800X3D build guide as well. I absolutely love working in it. The top panel actually comes off, makes mounting an AIO an absolute breeze. I wish every case would copy that. Right now with $104 and a $15 promo gift card, it basically comes down to $90, which is an insane value for a super premium case. For the power supply, we need about 850 watts for this build. I went with the MSI Mag 850 GL. This is PCI Gen 5 and ATX 3.0. If you want to use the NVIDIA GPU, you'll get the NVIDIA connector with it as well, the 12-volt high power cable. And it comes with what else? It comes with white cables. Now you could, of course, get a black power supply for about $110 instead and then get white, or even maybe like blue or a different color in terms of PSU cable extensions. I decided to go this route just to save a little bit of money, and you get those nice white cables to it. This is an A-tier rated unit on the PSU Cultist list. Really, really phenomenal for $129. So for $1,805, not only are you going to get a PC that performs incredibly with a Ryzen 7800X3D and either the RX 7900 XT, or you can go the 4070 Ti Super route if you want to. It's also just going to look insane. It's got the 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler, going to give you really, really great aesthetics. It's all white. It's got the all-white PCB motherboard on it. It's got the white GPU. It's just going to look brand spanking new all the time. Let's jump into some great 4K gaming monitor values right now in terms of deals out there. And if you're wondering why 1440p monitors seem to have gotten so cheap lately, here's why. Because 4K gaming monitors have gotten so cheap. Look at that, $369 for the MSI Mag 274 UPF. This is a great 4K gaming monitor, 144 hertz in terms of the refresh rate on it. Really good motion handling. It's flat, it's IPS. Honestly, if you want to get into 4K gaming for $369, this is a great pickup. Of course, the deal that I hope you can find is this one right here, the Gigabyte M28U. So this is 28 inch, so it's a little bit, in terms of the diagonal length, it's a little bit larger than the 27 inch. I'd honestly pick this up for just $30 more. This is a monitor that I use all the time. In fact, I'm using it right now to record this video. I game on it all the time. I absolutely love it. So 144 hertz refresh rate, not that different in terms of performance from the MSI 27 inch that we just looked at, but $399 is an insane value. Remember, everything's linked down in the video description, so check those links out for current pricing and availability in your region. And if you got value out of this video, please give it a like. This makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. I will catch you on the next one.